Pippa and I are here with Chi Obuaya, who is a member of our church at the 10:30 service. And Chi, you are a consultant psychiatrist operating in Harley Street and various other places. But you're also a very busy man because you've got 3 children. Just say, how old are your children?
So we've got Ruby, who's 5 years old, Sam is 2.5, and Daniel is 7 weeks now.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
And right now, I mean, you must be in such demand.
Yeah, it's a really interesting time. I also work in the NHS as well. I'm an adult psychiatrist. I see anyone above the age of 18. The bulk of my work would be what we call mood disorders and anxiety disorders. So things like depression and generalized anxiety disorder. I have a special interest in people who've experienced significant trauma. So that might manifest as post-traumatic stress disorder or a number of conditions. And I do see people who've had difficulties related to use of alcohol and drugs. And as you said, eating disorders such as bulimia and anorexia.
Now, in addition to all that, you are you run a group, like a small group in the church.
That's right. And that's been a massive blessing.
Now, supposing somebody's watching this and they're saying, why should I go to a Connect group? Just say why you, as a consultant psychiatrist, would recommend to people for their mental health, apart from anything else, that they should be part of a group a group that meets midweek as well as Sunday.
Nicky, a few years ago, I went to the leadership conference and there was a talk given by a psychiatrist called Ned Hallowell. He's been on Oprah and lots of shows in the States. He came over for that, and he talked about the importance of vitamin C and how that sustains us. And the C stands for connection. And of course, we're challenged at the moment because we are having to, in some ways, disconnect ourselves from the outside environment. But that really just emphasizes the need for us to be creative in ways in which we connect. And
just say a bit more about that vitamin C. What does that do?
I think it's just about the fact that we need to recognize that we're made for relationships, and to have people that are journeying with you, praying for you, knowing what's going on in your life, I think is just vitally important.
And what about people who are really struggling at the moment and perhaps haven't told anybody?
It's a great question, Pippa. I think there are a few things there. It's important to recognize that whilst on the one hand, as Christians, we try to be hopeful, anxiety and stress are normal phenomena. So it's normal to experience a degree of anxiety. It's a normal physiological reaction that your body undergoes. So one shouldn't be afraid of the fact that it's actually happening. And it's just about acknowledging that there are different resources that are out there that one can reach out to. And that includes mainstream services within the healthcare sector. So there's a myth that GP practices are closed. They're not. They're just a bit busier, and a lot of the doctors are working remotely. So reaching out to GPs, to psychology services, to psychiatrists, that's one avenue. But I think as Christians, also thinking about having a few confidants that you can reach out to and speak very candidly to is a great thing to sit alongside. It's not an either-or thing. This is about having a menu of options. And I think the church has got a really important role to play in this regard.
I guess right now, all the different mental health issues are coming to the surface, but there's one that seems to be dominating at the moment, and that is fear. What are the keys? What would you say as a consultant psychiatrist? What are the keys?
You hit on a really interesting point, Nicky, which is that there are going to be different features of that fear for different people. And so it's really important for anyone to understand what is actually driving the fear. It might be the fear of the virus itself. It might be fear of what's going on with your kids' schooling or your job and your ability to earn money. And also understanding, is that fear something that's real or is it exaggerated? It's normal to have a range of thoughts, and fear is one of them. if we think about our minds like a train station, trains come into a train station, but they also leave eventually. And so fear can come in. It doesn't have to define us. It's about having a routine and doing different things like going for exercise. But it's about understanding what drives the fear and what the solutions are. But everyone's going to have their own way of dealing with it.
Mm. And what would you say is a normal amount of fear? And what is when you think it's getting out of control?
I think one of the key things to look for would be where there's a repetitive or what we call a ruminative pattern of thought around the fear, when we're becoming very self-obsessed. So there are a number of things that we can have as markers, but also we can counter that. So making sure that we're paying attention to sleep, nutrition, to exercise, to our alcohol intake. These are all things that can just help to keep us in check. And also having a sense of routine.
And what do you say to parents who are frustrated, getting more frustrated with their children?
Yes.
We're all human beings. As
Yes.
parents, we go through different emotions. And we're in very, very unusual times at the moment. So even as individuals, we're having to grapple with that. So it's understandable that at times things might boil over. We might come across the wrong way with our kids. Also understand that their behavior may be different because they're living under constraints that they probably haven't experienced before, and they may not fully understand, depending on their age, what's going on. So I think just being open and forgiving is really key.
What would be your advice to the person who's watching this and saying, to have a consultant psychiatrist at this moment is my dream? What can you tell me?
Different people are dealing with this in very, very different ways. So some people may see it as a great opportunity to do things they haven't done before. Other people are scared stiff. Don't worry about how other people are experiencing it. Your own experience is real. So you don't have to pick up a violin or a guitar and learn a new instrument. Don't put yourself under pressure. But the one thing I would encourage you to do is develop a routine and find ways of connecting. Connect with your faith, connect with other people. I think there are massive gains to be had from reaching out to people and journeying with them.
So on behalf of them all, and we always say to the NHS.
Yeah, we love the NHS.
So thank you for what you're doing, Chi Chi, and God bless. Thank you for joining us.
Same to you.